I'm going to move out of the way. What I will say is you won't be seeing Martin Ødegaard behind you. You mentioned 6 weeks there. We know there's a knee injury. We're not entirely sure the extent of it. Mikel Arteta will do his pre-match press conference tomorrow. That's ahead of them playing Fulham on Saturday evening. Really frustrating and unfortunate season for him so far, isn't it? Of course, he became that first player to be subbed in 3 consecutive games in the first half when he came off against West Ham with the knee injury. So he's not out there. Noni Madueke is another who's struggling with a bit of a knee injury. I'm sure Arteta will update his fitness tomorrow after arriving at Arsenal, and he really hit the ground running. He's been a bit of a superstar, hadn't he, in those first few games. No Kai Havertz, another of those knee injury victims. No, he's not out there yet either. But there is some good news in terms of Piero Hincapié. He's been struggling with a groin injury, but he was one of the first ones out to training with Christian Norgard. No Ben White, we're not exactly sure as to why, but everybody else who you'd expect to be out there is out there, and a lot of them arrive in really good spirits after a pretty successful few days away with their international teams. The likes of Saka and Eze, Rice, Lewis Skelly, all out there, obviously secured England's qualification to the World Cup. The Brazilian pair of Gabriel and Martinelli both scored for Brazil. They are at their 23rd consecutive World Cup finals. And Mikel Merino, he goes away with Spain and ends up scoring a ton of goals, doesn't he? Another 2 for him. They're on the verge as well after beating Bulgaria. Zubamendi playing the large part of that game too. Saliba, Timber, Trossard, I mentioned before, Norgard, all having been away with their nations, all out there. Most of them got back to the club at some point yesterday, and they are now, getting ready to play Fulham on the weekend.
Before the last international break, they had Manchester City. They got a draw at home. They had Newcastle away. They got a really good win there. So they did have a tough run of games, whereas the next few seem on paper to be a little bit kinder. They're top of the table. How good a position are they in right now?
Yeah, I think if you ask most Arsenal fans if they'd be happy to be a point clear going into that October international break, I think they would have probably snapped your hand off with a couple of those fixtures. As you mentioned, really, really tough. That Newcastle win felt really big, didn't it? That last-minute Gabriel header, having seen Merino equalise a little bit earlier in the game, and then built on that momentum with West Ham. You look at the fixtures and you think, before the next international break, they play Fulham, Palace, Burnley and Sunderland in the Premier League, with the likes of Madrid and Slavia Prague in there for Europe, and Brighton away in the Cup. But, they only managed to draw at Fulham last season, and those sort of games really cost them come the end of the season.
Arsenal have been handed a timely boost ahead of their Premier League showdown with Fulham, as new signing Piero Hincapié was spotted in training at London Coney. The Ecuadorian defender looked sharp and eager to impress, potentially putting himself in contention for his debut under Mikel Arteta. His return adds much-needed depth to Arsenal's defensive options, especially as they continue their push to stay at the top of the table. However, not all the news was positive for the Gunners. Ben White was notably absent from the session, alongside injured stars Martin Ødegaard, Noni Madueke, and Kai Havertz, all of whom continue their recovery. Arteta will be hoping to have at least some of them back soon as Arsenal prepare for a crucial run of fixtures. With Hincapié's return injecting fresh energy and competition into the squad, the Gunners will be aiming to keep their momentum strong when they face Fulham live on Sky Sports this Saturday.